abon biye kumbo na lulume akonbe hengo anyul bonvanane bukwarbe awelan bukwarbe amunduru bukwarbe aliye ne ye kumbo ebe ekumbo ye burbo bise nga keli vanane ele ekumbo ye lulume.
Ensemble, main dans la main pour préserver l'unité de notre cher et beau pays, le Cameroun.
C'est un message de Royal FM, la radio des auditeurs.
Royal FM, il est 14h.
Subscribe to Maso Classic. Maso Classic for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with
Azone MAPALAH.
Monday, 14th of August 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. My name is MAPALAH ZITA. Coming up. August 2006, 14th August 2023. We revisit the history of the peaceful retrocession of the Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon after the conflict.
The Nigerians, especially the Igbos, the Ijaws, saw the importance of that place. They could easily catch fishing, then easily go and sell in Nigeria. They came in influx and inhabited there.
Plus, we are into a very long weekend with several public holidays due to religious feasts. Business persons will be telling us on our market trend page. And out of the country, ousted Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum risks the death penalty if found guilty of treason. And in sports, we will talk female football and the annual talent tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, those were our top stories. Please stay with us. Good afternoon. Once again, you're welcome to today's Royal Afternoon edition, the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. Today, August the 14th, is remembered in Cameroon as the Bakassi Conflict Resolution Day, a war which opposed the Cameroonian forces against the Nigerian separatist forces over the Bakassi Peninsula in 2006. Speaking with a historian in the name of Kidi Young, our reporter, Evans Williams Njobati, revisits some instances that marked history on the Ndian Division.
Throwing back at when the Germans, former Cameroon colonial masters, demarked the boundaries of the Republic of Cameroon, a river was used to connect the boundaries of the territory, as the historian says.
That river was used to separate Bakassi in Cameroon here, and that small area of Cross River. We have that Indian. Let me say this year when the government almost abandoned that area. The Nigerians, especially the Igbos, the Ijaws, saw the importance of that place. They could easily catch fishing, then easily go and sell in Nigeria. They came in influx and inhabited there, knowing willfully that it is not their territory. They did not carry out any development.
Mindful that the area was from time immemorial a Cameroonian zone, Kidi Young recounts that the Igbos and the other Nigerians practicing business there were only interested in exploiting the resources and fishing facilities.
They knew very well that they one day go. They made all a makeshift building. Everything of the were temporary. When one of those prominent elites discovered that those guys are using our territory, they even raised their flag. When they raised their flag to colonize that place, rushed back to the government and said, but how can our territory be seized? The Yaoundé government was first of all reluctant. But when they saw the potentials of that place, that is crude oil and that fishing, those Nigerians were gaining much from. Cameroon government entered, said no, this is our territory.
In addition, the historiographer makes it clear that Bakassi had not yet experienced any form of development before the Green Tree Agreement in August 14, 28.
Bakassi was very far behind, backward in terms of development, in terms of anything. Fortunately, after the Green Tree Accord and Obasanjo and Biya understood themselves like brothers, Obasanjo said, no, it's for true, it is your land. That's why I had to bring down the Nigerian flag and then raise the Cameroonian flag to show that it's our territory here. Before the government now then started constructing permanent buildings, carrying out development, making the people to feel Cameroonian.
Hence, the peace treaty between Paul Biya from Cameroon and Olusegun Obasanjo from Nigeria, in the presence of Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General, demonstrated a peaceful and quiet way of resolving an inter-boundary conflict.
Evans Williams Njobati, as you heard, today marks the 15th anniversary of the peaceful retrostation of the Bakassi Peninsula back to Cameroon, and President Paul Biya will today be receiving an award as honored as the African Wise Man. But now, looking at this great achievement by the president and the difficulties he faces these days in resolving the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, what could explain the marginal difference? Eratus Nduwe put the question to a geostrategist in our report.
While taking office on the 6th of November 1982, the president of Paul Biya had solemnly vowed to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Cameroon, and the peaceful retrocession of the Bakassi Peninsula back to Cameroon was through the magnanimity of His Excellency President Paul Biya, who sought the International Court of Justice handle the matter. But according to the geostrategy Lemken Richards, the Anglophone crisis could be attributed to the Anglophones themselves.
The Anglophones are partly responsible for the crisis being unable to be solved, because the Anglophone MPs, be them in Parliament, be them in the Senate, have not been able to address even the problem in Parliament. Secondly, institutionalized division between the Northwest and the Southwest. That means to obtain anything from the government in the name of Anglophones, the two regions, they have to be under the same voice. But at the beginning, the late mayor of Aboya was a big obstacle, and he's an Anglophone problem. So talking about Mr. Biya being unable to solve the Anglophone crisis, so the two crises don't resemble each other.
He went further to say that the Bakassi, which is rich in diversity, had not been properly managed by the respected dude.
Cameroon so far has not been able to develop the area the way it was supposed to, because in principle a sum of money was given to carry out developmental projects so that the area have the same rhythm of development with other parts of the country. But unfortunately, the 7 years Anglophone crisis equally has chopped part of the time and has also stopped part of the initiatives. And up to today, I think there have been about 3 or 4 coordinators to manage the Bakassi reconstruction. But so far so good, nothing better has come out.
As the peaceful retrocession of the Bakassi Peninsula is observed today, our experts say
the Bakassi Peninsula remains a very big jewelry to the country, since it is the source of Cameroon oil, and you know oil is one of our major sources of income. For that reason, we continue to keep it with a lot of curious mind.
However, what is precious needs to be preserved.
Indeed, what is precious needs to be preserved, and thank God Cameroon preserved her land. Joining me in the studio is our Director of Information here at Royal FM, Abel Bila Samari. Good afternoon, Abel.
Good afternoon to you, MAPALAH ZITA.
Abel, in the following write-up, you say President Paul Biya is an irresistible model in conflict.
The choice Cameroon and Nigeria made, with the guidance of the United Nations, to amicably settle the border crisis in Bakassi Peninsula, the division of the southwest region, speaks volumes of the power of reason over violence to all and sundry today. Opting for dialogue and mutual understanding, in fact, the force of argument and not argument of force, as some would have thought, puts the two countries to the limelight of world peace. In effect, the Bakassi Peninsula was an object of heated briquerie between Nigeria and Cameroon. Tempers even flared high, but in all maturity, leaders of the two countries defy all odds and donned the battlefield to settle the matter in court. Today, the peninsula is governed by Cameroon as a result of judgment by the International Court of Justice. The 15th anniversary of the Green Tree Agreement, and the 10th anniversary of the application of the Green Tree Agreement, which regulates the ceding of the Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon, thus come to remind world leaders that no matter how deep a problem is, frank talk in respect of each other can always calm down the storm. President Paul Biya and Olusegun Obasanjo plus late UN Secretary General Kofi Annan used the tongue and the pen to bring solution to deep-rooted problem in which many thought only gun could solve. Their efforts are being rewarded. In 2014, the Pan-African Lawyers Union awarded President Paul Biya the Peaceful Resolution Conflict Award. Today, it is another award that is being given to the Wise Man of Central Africa. That is the Wise Man Award. This is to tell us that no matter the situation, no matter how difficult a problem must be, peace is inevitable in all that we do.
Abel Bella summary in that write-up. And still to come in this newscast, we are into a very long weekend plagued with public holidays due to religious feasts. How are businessmen and women managing these days?
We are hopeful and prayerful that the market of today is going to be good. You know, in Cameroon now, we do prepare in our last time be time. So for most people, they mostly anticipate.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM and watching us live on Facebook at Royal FM Cameroon. Youths have been urged to shun hate speech, promote peace, and protect the environment. The call was made by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Monona Fotso, in Yaoundé over the weekend while chairing the ceremony to celebrate the 4th edition of the International Youth Day, an event which unfolded under the theme Green Skills for Youths Towards a Sustainable World. Here now is Minister Monona Fotso's message to the youths.
Cameroon, we have contextualized the celebration around building capacity of young people in the domain of ecological transition, but also in many other domains, particularly the promotion of peace, fight against violent extremism, and preservation of unity and national cohesion. That's why we train young people in particularly the implementation of national education, civic education program through moral, civil and entrepreneurial rearmament, but also many activities organized by the Cameroon National Youth Council. And all those activities show that Cameroonian young people are really engaged and committed in many domains. And we thank the partners, particularly of the United Nations system, to continue to accompany the government within this construction site.
The International Youth Day also offers a platform for governments, organizations, and individuals to collaborate and deliberate on strategies for empowering youth, enhancing their access to education and healthcare, as well as encourage their involvement in decision-making processes. Abel Bella Samari caught up with a youth development actor who now relates what her organization is doing for youths in Cameroon. Take a listen.
This is Dr. Zonziwo. I am the coach to the Mifali movement, which is an adolescent-led movement. For this year, 2023, the Mifali movement actors have been trained around key thematic areas. One is around key policy instruments that advances the rights not only of the girl child but also human rights principles. For instance, they've looked around the SDGs, how they can use the SDG as a tool of advocacy, how they can use the Maputo Protocol, and how they can use the Beijing Declaration. And the next other thematic that we looked around is the involvement of adolescents in climate smart actions. Like today, you see, we're using plastic to build, gardens and also cultivate vegetable. The idea here is to see how, as adolescents, they can also be active agents in the fight against plastic pollution.
Let's talk some political news. In a bid to re-dynamize the electoral process in Cameroon, Elections Cameroon's actors of the civil society as well as other political actors have resolved to work together. The revelation was made over the weekend in Yaoundé during the launching of the National Platform for Permanent Conservation. Present at the event were officials of Elections Cameroon and several political actors. In line with this, Freeway Crispin interviewed some actors present at the launch of the conservation platform on their appreciation. Here is her report.
The permanent consultation platform has as aim to bring election stakeholders together in order to ease the electoral process in Cameroon. An initiative Samuel Bilong of the Reformative Movement Party appreciates, but attests more is still to be done.
It's essential to work really with the political party, and that's what we need in the reform movement. And at the end of the day, we need a commitment of all the political parties and all actors in peace, to guarantee peace. For example, I don't know how Elekam project to organize election in Northwest and Southwest region. It's not impossible now. We need a resolution in this sense.
Just like Samuel Bilong, Honorable Kupit Adamu of the Cameroon Democratic Union Party louts the initiative.
We have changed our ideas, our own position, the way we as politicians are looking the political system in our country. And Lekam, particularly the Electoral Council, was very happy for that. And we too, we were happy to have this meeting with election. It was a very good moment for us.
The platform is an opportunity for political actors, the civil society and Elekam to work hand in glove in order to ameliorate elections in Cameroon. Honorable Kupit Adamu once more.
If we are together, that could be very easy to go to convene government. And if government is convened, the law should be modified. And the law should be modified in the sense to make minimum consensus, to make sure that when we go for next election, we should be able to make sure that the result will not be contested by anyone. This is our objective, and we are working for that. We are very confident than never after the last Friday meeting.
The permanent consultation platform, according to officials, is to ease the manner in which elections are carried out and also to make more room for democracy and transparency during elections.
Freeway Crispin in that report. Now let's come back to one of our lead stories. Today has been declared a public holiday, and it's a day that follows Sunday and falls before a religious public holiday, Tuesday 15th of August, which is Assumption Day. Looking at this long holiday with most inhabitants staying home during this period, what changes has transport workers experienced in their business? Our reporter Angwa interviewed some transport workers and now reports.
The decree of several public holidays added to the 3-month holidays seems to be a major challenge for transporters. According to Smith Tayong, the added public holiday affects his business as his clients are mostly office workers and students.
We are in the political capital where our business really depends civil servants and students. Now presently we are on a long-term holiday, and giving another holiday again this Monday is really affecting our business. We notice zero students and people going to office. Those people are not outside and cannot really work. Work is really down.
More to that, Ngwa Elvis says the added long public holiday impacts his business negatively as most clients are home and the streets are empty.
I can say the public holiday has a negative impact on my business career because during public holiday, children no longer go to school, some workers stay at home, so I have difficulties like in my business. I have difficulties to see customers. Public holiday has a very great impact on my business.
Transporters, however, sees the public holiday as a very challenging one since the business are not moving well on their own part.
And on the eve of Assumption Day, the traditional vigil and pilgrimage of the Roman Catholic Church will take place in Bafoussam, Cameroon. This according to the decision of the head of the church, His Holiness Pope Francis. Here now is Reverend Father Octave Sufonku, who appreciates the Holy Father's choice of Cameroon in this excerpt.
Today, we enter the vigil of the celebration of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. As we know, it is the day Mary was taken up to heaven by her Son, Jesus Christ. It is a great day for the Catholic Christians over the world. And on this special day, at the eve of this wonderful celebration, we are all called by the Pope to visit the sanctuary of Mary, to go there in pilgrimage and to pray. And when we reach there, to sing praises to her, to sing praises to God, and to pray most especially for peace in our country, peace in our families, peace in our hearts. As in Bafoussam, we have a most famous place of pilgrimage called the Sanctuary of Dumelon.
And on to our society page, we bring you the sad story of a little girl who died in Batie, west region of Cameroon, after a snake bite and the absence of the anti-poison serum in several hospitals in that area. Many have questioned why no natural attention was paid to the snake bite before the young girl could be rushed to the hospital. Our newsroom caught up with Dr. George, a tradi practitioner and researcher who gives some tips on what can be used to neutralize snake bite poison naturally before taking the patient to the hospital. Take a listen.
When somebody has been bitten by a snake, I know that black stone, they can clarify the place where the snake are beating that person. Then just put it there. As they put it will start sucking the poison. When it must have finished sucking the poison, it will fall down itself. Then for onion, I've not yet made research on it. You know, I think I'm a researcher at the Ministry of Science and Research. When there is something like this, I first of all take the product there for research. So I'm talking of what I know of this black medicine, which involves a mixture of so many anti-poison medicine, tree bark, roots of trees, leaves. And when we mix all together, we burn it into ash. That's what we call black medicine. We take it, we give the person to lick, then we take some and rub on the place where the snake are beating that person. Then give some to the person to just to lick without the water, just to lick to go and kill all those snake poison.
Out of Cameroon, Niger's mutinous soldiers have said they will prosecute deposed President Mohamed Bazoum for his treason and undermining state security. This announcement came hours after the junta said they were open for dialogue with West African nations to resolve the mounting regional crisis. Spokesman Colonel Major Ahmadou Abdraman said on state television Sunday night that the military regime had gathered the necessary evidence to prosecute before competent national and international authorities the ousted president and his local and foreign accomplices for high treason and for undermining the internal and external security of Niger. If found guilty, Mr. Bazoum could face the death penalty according to the Niger's penal code. Over 20 people are reported dead in rain-related incidents in the past 24 hours in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh, according to a top official, Chief Minister Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu. Heavy rains triggered landslides and flash floods in the hilly state. Earlier today, a temple in Shimla town collapsed after a landslide. Officials also said today that the Char Dham Yatra, a pilgrimage to the four holiest sites for Hindus in the state, has been suspended for 2 days due to the rains. Let's come back to Talk Sports. And in sports, we begin with Lekkie Football Fee, who secured their second title of the season after defeating RS Fortuna in the Cameroon Cup finals on Sunday, August 13 at the Amadou Ahidjo Annex 1 Stadium. Biwa Brian followed the encounter and compiled the following report.
Lekkie Football Fields were crowned 2023 Cameroon's Women's Cup champions on August 13 at the Amadou Ahidjo Annex 1 Stadium. The Guinness Super League Queens beat AS Fortuna 2-0 after putting up an impressive performance throughout the competition. Lekkie opened scores through Ngamanga Marie Giselle, followed by Raiza Nanga, who scored from the penalty spot few minutes to halftime. Sportsman Kede Lawrence made a comment after the turnout. Sportsman Kede Lawrence made a comment after the match on the turnout of people during the encounter.
I think the build-up of the finals of the Cup of Cameroon has really gone silent as the tournament began at the end of the championship, where many clubs and players have been thinking more about holidays, having some rest, and maybe animating the transfer market. You know, there is a big gap between the top flight clubs and the second tier clubs, meaning that generally you only find top 5 clubs, the finals of the competition.
The Cup of Cameroon.
We equally caught up with Coach with Nicole Loic, president of Leke Football Fields, who expressed himself after the match.
It was not easy. We worked very hard to achieve our objective, and now we win the cup, we win the championship, and I think that it's very good. The job is well done, and we now think about next year. The ambition is next year is not simply national ambition. We have an international ambition next year.
And the National Football Academy is set to hold its third annual talent tournament of the regional polls in Bankomo from August the 16th to the 19th of 2023. Biwa Brian with more details.
The National Football Academy ANAFOOT has announced the third edition of the talent tournaments of regional pools to be staged from August 16th to August 19th in Bankomo, Yaoundé. The national annual event will gather 150 young male players from under 17 to under 18 categories coming from the Academy's 10 regional pools. The selected players will compete in 10 teams with 15 players each under each championship formula. With 2 pools after the championship will be played, the teams will play a classification match to determine the winners of the competition.
Claude Baoken, good afternoon.
Bon après-midi, MAPALAH ZITA.
You have a summary of this newscast in the French language.
Ce 14 août marque le 15e anniversaire de la rétrocession de la presqu'île de Bakassi à l'État du Cameroun. C'est le 14 août 2008 que l'armée nigériane a quitté la presqu'île de Bakassi dans la région du sud-ouest. Une célébration des noces de cristal est annoncée ce soir à partir de 20h. En religion, demain, l'Église catholique romaine du monde commémore l'élévation de la Vierge Marie au ciel. Encore appelé à Assomption pour cette célébration, le pape François a institué que la veillée et le pèlerinage se tiennent à Bafoussam dans la région de l'ouest Cameroun. Au-delà de nos frontières Niger, après le coup d'État, la junte au pouvoir annonce qu'elle va traduire le président Mohamed Bazoum en justice pour haute trahison de l'État du Niger. Les autorités au pouvoir déclarent détenir des preuves à l'encontre du président Mohamed Bazoum et à l'encontre des partenaires étrangers. En sport, clôture de la saison sportive 2022-2023. La Ligue de football féminin du Cameroun a achevé partiellement la saison sportive hier avec le sacre de l'équipe football fille devant AS Fortuna 2-0. L'équipe football fille a réalisé le sacre, le doublé Coupe Cameroun.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our package for you this afternoon. The news was technically assisted with copyright by Romuald Ekume. Jean-Marie Otu took care of the cameras for our Facebook Live. The news was produced by Evans Williams and Jobati. News editor Bertrand Owona. Script editing and editorial coaching Abel Bela Samari. Coordination from our station manager Jean-Patient Tala and the general supervision from Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, my name is MAPALAH ZITA. Thanking you for listening and wishing you an interesting afternoon in the company of a beautiful lady who is back here in the studio for part 2 of Fresh Royal. Raissa Parker, welcome back.
Merci beaucoup, MAPALAH ZITA. La radio ne s'arrête pas après les informations en langue anglaise. On va poursuivre et c'est la deuxième partie de Fresh Royal. On va continuer avec nos sujets sur la table. Également des coups de cœur. On a déjà un choix quand même, une musique choisie par Madame Fotso Chantal.